about to bring on the positive vibe. Wherever we go, we are gonna.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to the Soul Purpose Lounge. We just want to say hello and welcome back for those of you who joined us during our initial show. Let me just take a few moments and set this up while our producer is bringing up all the rest of our guests. So what you are experiencing today, folks, is a new mini series that we kicked off, which is today. We start off talking to all guys about what men want. We explored that during our first hour, but just to give you a preview of what's going to happen over the course of the next week. Next week, we're going to have an all-female panel, and the ladies are going to talk about what women want. And then what's better than all of that is at 12:30 next Saturday, in our after show, the Soul Purpose Lounge, we're going to put everybody together and we're going to unpack some of the things that you have heard over the course of the previous 2 weeks. So I'm super excited. I think we are probably live on Facebook Live now. I welcome your comments in our chat because we can see them. So feel free to chime in. If you have questions for any of our guests, by all means, feel free to put those questions in the private chat as well. I am your host, Keith. Absent this week, obviously, is our co-host, Monica. She's allowing me to have my own space. So if you can see what I have done, the space looks a little bit different because to my right, actually to my left, I should probably start out. You see my fraternity paddle posted up on the wall because I want to make sure that everyone knows that A5A is in the house. But then to my right, you will also see that I have taken down the foliage because we don't need foliage when the guys are just talking. Instead, I have my Tampa Bay Buccaneer golf towel hanging. I just want to represent my hometown Bucks. I also have my signed autograph Derek Brooks Charities football from the Brooks de Bartolo School. All the kids signed it for me as well. I was a guest over there, so I got my football, and then immediately to the left of that, I have my NBA basketball. One of these days, coming up real soon, we're probably going to have these guys all together again, and we're going to be unpacking the upcoming sports season, the fall sports season on the professional level and the college level. Should there be a sports season? And so I guess if I can see our guests, I'd like to ask everybody to go ahead and just kind of unmute yourself. I'll introduce everyone again really quickly, starting in order of chronology. Our senior statesman, we call him the OG. Mark, what's going on, brother? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
All right. And then we have Thunder and Lightning coming to you from the unofficial headquarters of the Omega Psi Phi Conclave. We call him Big Al. He is an educator. He's a graduate of Kent State University. He's a father and husband and creator of Big Al's barbecue sauce. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you just fine.
And then bringing the light into the conversation is a graduate of Notre Dame. He's also a father and a husband. He's a sports analyst. You may have seen him on television, breaking down play-by-play, and also the proprietor of Big County Preps. We call him PJ. That's our cousin. Preston, what's up? What's up, my brother?
Great to be here. Let's rock and roll.
I know. I'm so ready to get into this particular subject, man. It's one that's near and dear to me because I do have daughters. But finally, I would be remiss if I didn't bring in our final guest. We are fortunate to have a second IT executive on the call with us today. So if there's any technical issues, I'm just gonna blame y'all two cats, man. We got all this IT technology, but he is a husband also and father to some future Hall of Fame athletes. And he's also a travel ball coach as well. We call him DB, but let's welcome Dave to the show. What's up? What's up, brother?
What's up? What's up?
All right. So I think we are live on Facebook, hopefully.
Yeah, we look good, man. We look
good. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I can't see if anybody has joined us or if anybody has started to join in on the conversation today. I tried to kind of tease this a little bit. And I wanted
they're in. They were waiting for this one.
I was going to say
they was waiting on this one. They in there.
All right.
What they want, Harris. Get the people what they want.
Get the people what they want. So let me just recap. Today is all about us sharing with you what men want. Y'all hear a lot of. As a matter of fact, I think Taraji did a movie about this last year. Where she kind of flipped the script and kind of got into the minds of men. And I definitely want to touch on that for a while too, because I know Steve Harvey also kind of put out a whole concept around think like a man, and I want to unpack that a little bit too. But we're talking about what men want from our perspective, and all of us, as you heard in the introduction, are husbands and fathers, and so I think we're all qualified. You know, some of us have been at it about 7 years or so, up to about 26 years. So I think we're all qualified to kind of know what it is that men want. We're in successful relationships, and we touched on issues or areas such as respect, because we think that's a universal thing. You know, men want respect, obviously. We touched on appreciation. Men want to feel appreciated. We can kind of recap what some of that means. And then we also got into a real serious discussion at the end of our set, talking about physical intimacy and about intimacy and how men define intimacy. So we're gonna get it cranked up over the course of the next hour. And again, I do invite you to put your questions in the chat as well. So I think we left off talking about sex, didn't we?
We did.
Yes.
And we determined that there is some accuracy, because I think y'all kind of danced around the issue a little bit. But there is some accuracy to the fact that, you know, men want sex. We actually think about sex all the time, don't we? Truth be told. Oh, now y'all quiet. From now.
It's in the top 5.
Yes, we do.
It's in the top 5. It's in the top 5 things that you're thinking about on a daily basis.
On a daily basis, on an ongoing basis. Do y'all remember there was a study done one time that said that men actually think about sex every 30 minutes and women think about sex maybe like once or twice a day or something like that? Do y'all remember that?
I heard it. I could probably agree with that.
I can agree with that.
A little more frequent than that.
It's a little more frequent.
So I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
I told y'all my situation.
Right. The reality is, brother, we think about it all the time. We think about it all the time. We are sexual. Who is it? OG said we are sexual beings. I mean, that's how we are wired. I think we were created to procreate. We are visual creatures as well, and we actually do think about it a lot. So when we're not doing it, we are probably in some stage of scheming on how to make it happen. Because somebody was talking about, whoever was talking about the whole planning ahead of time and making sure that if it means you got to do the dishes or you got to do whatever, like you got to, we invest work. We actually put real work into trying to get ourselves in a position to get sex from our significant other. So, Alan, jump back into that one a little bit.
Absolutely. It is work. You got, like I said before we went to before we left the sole purpose school, it's like starting to grill. You're not gonna put meat on the grill if your coals aren't hot. So if you want sex on Tuesday, you better start stoking that fire on Monday. You better start doing what needs to be done, and you better think it better be purposeful. You have to know what your wife likes, what she's gonna do. So if it will make her, get her in the mood, would be seeing you when she comes home, seeing you in the kitchen cooking dinner. Then guess what? Tuesday when she comes home, you are in the kitchen cooking dinner, having it ready, having it ready to go, so that she knows I've been stoking this fire since Monday.
Mm.
It's on tonight,
Mhm.
you know. And if you know that she likes to go to bed early so that she can wake up early, then you make sure the kids have bathed, are fed, bathed, homework done by 8 o'clock.
Right.
So you have your hour and a half of time to, you know, put on the finishing touches.
Mm.
It takes work.
It does take work. And you better. It's the planning process and it's the presentation, right? It all that plays a part into it. I believe they want it also, but not necessarily to the extent that we do. And at the same time, I think it's more. Every time for them, it's got to be meaningful. It ain't necessarily got to be like that every time for us. We can take a little. We don't have to necessarily have the prime rib every time. You know, I'll take a T-bone every now and then. I take that. I take the microwave plate every now and then. But at some point, you got to come up off that. At some point, you do, and it's our job. I think it's our job to at least warm that plate up and get it going.
Dave, what is the extent that you feel like you should have to go through in your house to get a grill going? Look, we talking about sex, man. We talking about like all you got to do is all you need is a bed and 2 people, right? So So where's all this where's all this grilling coming from?
Hey, David, the master griller.
So I'm more. So I'm more of a gas grill kind of person. So I can't be stoking no fires no day before.
Hey,
I'm ready to cut the propane on and hey, I just cut the propane on and whoosh, you gotta get to it. Hey, that's it. We getting to it. Hey, we ain't got time for all that. You know, life is short. I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer, man. Like the Bible says, Bible speaks about, your body is not yours, and not to hold yourself from one from another. So I'm a big believer that you should not do that. But you do have to set the tone. You do have to do certain things. As Preston was speaking about, we don't have to have a prime rib. I like to call it international sex. You don't have to always have the top level type of sex. Sometimes we just need to just get it in and kind of roll over and feel good about ourselves. But you do have to spend that time. You do have to. It took me a while to learn it. So I had to learn it the hard way of just going about romancing throughout the whole day. It's not just right before we go to bed, boom, hey, what's up? Hey, you gotta kind of set that thing up. It's kind of like an alley-oop. You want to sit up there, you see it from a distance, you throw the ball up, and then it's up to you to finish it. So depends on
let's talk about romance, fellas. Well, men do not want romance. We just want to get it in.
False.
Look, I almost cussed.
No.
Not true. So of course we do, right? And I'll tell you from personal experience in this period of COVID, right? It's taken my date night away. So all it's severely impacted my romance game, right? So I like to escape from time to time with my wife and go for a meal or a drink or a walk or a drive, whatever it is that it's just the 2 of us, right? That's our time where we get back into each other. That's where the intimacy is. That's where we plan, organize, strategize in that moment, right? For whatever it is, right? That plan may be, man, as soon as I get home, we get it on, right? It could be about our career, but that's important. Romance is hugely important, right? Taking vacations where everything's shut out and it's just the 2 of you. That's important. That's important to me. And again, I'm Jones and bad because we haven't been able to do that.
True enough.
Alan, you wanted to jump in on the romance? You look like a real romantic guy. Don't Alan lock you a romance guy. Look at that.
Alan is the king of romance.
King of romance.
Alan, the king of romance.
Listen.
Alan been romancing since '96, boy.
I like a little romance. You know, a rub on the shoulder, rub on the chest. You know, take a walk. You know, just sit down and just relax a little bit. I think that's important. And I don't know where people got the thought process that men don't like to be romanced. It's super important. You know, there's things that we like. You know, we want to feel wanted just as much as a woman wants to feel wanted. And so it's a balancing act, man. And like Mark said, our date nights have struggled since this COVID. But we've tried to do different things to continue that bond. My dad once told me a long time ago, always date your wife. And that's something that I've always tried to hold on to, because even though we have kids, one day they're going to be gone. You know, they're going to be out the house. So if you don't nurture the relationship that's between the two people that created the family, then, and you see it all the time, once the children leave the house, the wife and the husband, they're getting to know each other anew after 20, 30 years. So the person who you got an initial relationship with at 20, 21 or whatever, that's not the same person at 50, 60 years old. They're a totally different person. So if you don't continue to date one another and learn one another throughout the process of raising a family, when your children do leave, you won't know who you're in. You don't know who you're in a relationship with, and that will be a problem.
Y'all want to know what's romantic? I'm gonna tell y'all what's romantic to me. When my wife make my plate, that's romantic. Let's stop playing around. Let's stop playing around. You know, I got, that's romantic. When she make my plate and she said, baby, I appreciate you. And you know what, baby, I appreciate you too. That's romantic. When you see me,
she have to make your plate first before she make the kids?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay. As long as I get it, I'm good. And you know, I had a hard day. She come up, she just give you a shoulder rub. That's romantic. You know what I mean? She see me tired, and she said, you know, baby, sit in the passenger seat. I'ma drive. You know what? That's romantic to me. It ain't got to be flowers and candy. It's got to be, you gonna meet me at a certain place. You see what I'm doing. Just hook a brother up. That's romance to me. That's my love language.
All right. I hear you. So listen, one of the things, and I think I brought this up during our show, I like what Alan is saying with respect to you need to date your wife. You gotta make sure that you are nurturing that relationship. I believe that's the most important relationship in the house, because kids are there for us to, take care of, obviously, and guide them and whatnot. But you're not going to marry your children, and prayerfully, you don't spend the rest of your life, with your children. So you have to nurture that relationship, and that also means that you have to, cultivate and nurture that romance as well. Let me ask y'all this though, but how do you? Because this really kind of goes into communication. How does your significant other communicate to you what they like in terms of romance, and vice versa? How do you communicate to your significant other what you like in terms of what you like to be, how you like to be romanced? Or should they just?
Good question.
So I'll start off. So my wife is a introvert. Okay, my wife is introvert, and her love language is really just touch and being together. All right, so for her, I'll know that she is wanting the connection when I'm sitting down watching TV and she just comes and sits down next to me. I know she's in need of that energy, and that's usually how we communicate. So for us, it's a little different because I'm not an introvert. I'm very, you know, I like to I like signs of appreciation. So if you know my favorite cake is red velvet cake, and you make some red velvet cupcakes, you got it. I know that you saying that you're appreciating what I'm doing because you went that extra mile. Because if everybody knows, red velvet cupcakes are not easy to make.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to answer questions that come in? Are we allowed to do that, Harris?
You're supposed to be answering the questions that come in because listeners are able to comment, and we should be responding to those comments. I will tell you this though, because I'm monitoring the chat. We have a lot of people listening out there who are afraid to chime in and either ask questions or make comments because I think we're really on to something. I think we're hitting on something. But yeah, you should be responding to the questions in the chat.
Okay, so Monica made a comment that she ain't making no plates. Why? I need somebody to comment and say, why are you not making your husband his plate? Somebody in the sole purpose space answer that question with a legitimate reason. I'm just gonna toss that out there because I don't understand why she don't make your plate, Harris.
So the answer is no. She does not make my plate, generally speaking. She will every once in a while. But to your point about answering the question, next Saturday, the expectation is that the ladies are going to talk about what they want, and then we're going to get together afterwards and talk about and put those two things together. So between now and this time next week, somebody is going to respond to whether or not they believe making your significant other, in this case, making your man's plate, is important, because what I'm hearing from you is your love language as a part of your acts of service is you want your plate to be made.
Mm-hmm. And it is not just it's that the act of is an act of show of appreciation. Right. If you tuned in to the show prior to the lounge, we talked about appreciation. That act. It's not that we want you to serve us per se. Mm-hmm. It's the small act of appreciation that you would do, saying, I appreciate the things that you have done for me, and this is all I have to do is just toss this on and put it in front of you. That's it. It's just a sign of appreciation. That's really all it is. Nothing more, nothing less.
So go ahead, Alan.
No, I had because you were saying we're answering questions. I had a question that popped up on mine, my little watch party, regarding marrying someone who loves you, that you love more than marrying someone who loves you more than you love them, and vice versa. How we feel about that. I honestly, I think the love, it's not going to start off equal, but eventually it has to get to be equal. It has to, in order for it to maintain. Someone is always going to have deeper feelings than another party at some point. You know, someone's going to be more into it than the other party at some point or some level. But in order for the relationship to work or survive, in my opinion, it has to be equal. There's no way that a relationship can survive if one party loves the other party more, period. Now, your love may look different, but it has to be equal. The level of love that's existing inside a relationship has to be equal.
I want Dave to respond to that. Should you love your partner more than they love you, or as a man, should you seek a relationship where your partner might love you a little bit more than you love them? Because I have my own opinions on this one.
Well, my take on love is, it's like this. I feel that being in a relationship with someone, we should both be trying to love each other, kind of outdo each other, loving one another. So I feel that if you take that kind of route, it's I'm going to try to outdo you loving you, and you try to outdo me loving me, then you won't ever have that feeling. It'll feel equal. I do think it's a very tough thing to be in a situation where you love someone more than they more than they love you. And it should be some kind of, I think the love, when you're facing a situation like that, it could seem like there's some selfishness, from one side or the other. But I think that it is both parties' job to try to outdo each other, loving one another. And if you do that, I think you should be okay.
Hey Harris,
Absolutely.
ever since David got married to Shanta, he don't love me like he used to. He don't love me. He don't love me like he used to. I knew that was gonna happen when he said, I'm about to marry Shanta. I was like, well, he ain't gonna love me no more. And that's it. And that's why David he don't love David. You don't love me like you used to, dog.
I'm on that.
You ain't call me in 72 hours.
So
I don't think David's bothered by that at all. Now I will share with y'all. I will share with y'all something that my mom actually said to me before she passed away years ago. And she said, son, you always kind of want to be with somebody that loves you just a little bit more than you love them. And my mom, if you knew her, she had a way of saying some things that were just hard. I mean, she was not a hard woman, but she would say things to you that really, really would make you, think, and would really challenge you to think, especially when it came to relationships. And so when she said that to me, when she shared that with me, I had to think about early in my life when I would be all in deep with some young lady, and I would come home all, feeling all some kind of way because I didn't feel like I was getting the same deep in return. So here's a woman who actually observed that behavior from her son, and thought it after I got older, got a little bit more grown, thought that it was appropriate to say, hey, look, there might be a situation where you're out there trying to love on people who ain't necessarily loving on you the same, and that's a recipe for disaster. So. So I like where we're going with this, because you really should try to outdo each other, loving each other. I mean, it does take work, and you learn that after you get in a relationship. But yeah, it is. Parents, advice from parents. Let's talk about advice from parents. How about that? Let's get into that. How much did your advice from your parents shape what you decided to look for in a significant other?
Can I just touch on the last bit?
Absolutely.
Parents? So just a side note, yes, I knew your mom well, and yes, she would say things that would send me away for days thinking about what she said. For sure. And I applied those. But I think you have to be careful getting caught into measuring degrees of love, right? How do you do that? Right? So in my opinion, a relationship is not 50-50, it's 100%, right? It's both parties giving 100% to it. Of course, right? Your effort level may ebb and flow from time to time, but if you're not committed to giving 100%, you're going to get caught in that measurement system, and you could go wrong, right? Because you could be measuring your partner by a standard or a bar that you're not meeting or ready to meet yourself. So I just wouldn't even get into that. More than, right? Ask yourself, right? Am I giving all that I can? Right? If I focus on that, the rest takes care of itself.
Okay.
And on top of that, Mark, you're measuring them off of your lens.
Right.
Which is going to be different because you're two different people.
Yeah.
So what they feel like they're giving is their 100% inside a relationship is going to be different than what you feel like your 100% looks like. So you have to know one another and accept that person's 100%, and just continue to do your 100% the best way you can.
That's good.
Keith, what advice from parents?
So advice from parents. I'm interested in that question because as men, we have a special relationship with our mothers, especially, and we value their opinions about what to look for in mates. And in some cases, a lot of men will tell you, if they're honest, that they will even look for certain traits that their mom demonstrated. They will even look for some of those traits in a significant other. So I'm just curious to hear from you guys. Like, what kind of advice did parents offer on relationships from a male perspective?
Let me start off. I can't even remember anything that my parents said. I remember everything they did. I think my parents and how I feel now is that we modeled the behavior that we want our children to accept or display when they get into that situation. I want my daughter to feel that she should be. I want my daughter to know what love and like feels like. I want her to see that in our relationship within the household. I want my son to see how he should communicate to his mate when it becomes that time, how he should listen, and the model the behavior from his parents. So everything that we display, our kids are going to either gravitate towards or they're going to run from. If you're yelling and screaming throughout the household, your son or your daughter is either going to do the same thing or they're going to run from that type of behavior. And how do you want your daughter to feel? Do you think that she should feel like a man should be yelling and screaming at her and be beating on her? Is that what you want? Is that what you want your daughter to understand? Is that what you want your son to display to the woman that he marries? I can't remember anything that my parents actually said. I do maybe 95% of the things that my dad did for my mother. I'm very in tune to my feelings. I am very accommodating towards her. I am very much a servant to her because I want her to move throughout her household in a comforting level, never to be walking on eggshells. Now, is that a learned behavior? Absolutely. And it takes years of communicating, and how we communicate is the practice. I'll say it for the third time. I can't remember anything told to me, but I remember everything that was displayed in our household we grew up.
So for me, my dad had conversations. I had conversations with my grandfather. My grandfather gave me a jewel. He said, marry your friend, because just as fast as you fall in love, you can fall out of love, but the friendship will always be there. So he gave me that jewel before he passed on. My father told me to always date your wife. And I saw him do that time and time again. Always made sure your mother. I always saw my mom, taking my mom, 'cause my mom likes to dress up. She's from Memphis, big city. So she enjoyed getting in the gowns and things of that nature. She enjoyed to dress up. So my dad would always take her to places where she could dress up, could put on those gowns and things of that nature, because she enjoyed that. Well, at least it seemed like she did. He would always, just do little things just to show that he appreciated what she did inside the family. So, like Preston said, it's also a lot of it is what you see, but it's also you want to have those conversations. I think it's important, especially in this day and age where influence on kids is so vast. It's important that we as men talk to our sons about how you treat a woman, how the things that you say, and also display it, but also to have the conversation. I recall my oldest daughter was first born. First thing I told her, I said, listen, you see a boy with his pants below his behind, you don't have to say nothing. You don't have to talk to him, because that's not what you want, and I never really did anyway, but I don't wear my pants that way. And so I think you have to have those conversations, especially as Black men in America. We have to have open dialogue with our daughters and with our sons about what they should expect, what they should allow inside their relationship.
All right. Well, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was going to piggyback on both of what they said. Growing up, my dad, I had little nuggets here and there that I'll never forget. But modeling is huge. I remember when, if anybody know my mom can cook like nobody else. And I remember when I was around fourth or fifth grade. I remember my dad told my mom, stop cooking every day, and he was like, they can figure out what they need to eat. And at first it pissed me off to be frank, because we wasn't getting food every day. Mom would cook Sunday, you eat leftovers on Monday, she cooked Tuesday, she cooked Wednesday, she cooked Thursday. It was like cook Sunday and cook Tuesday, and I would see my dad. He would do things to kind of make her load lighter. Like to this day, my dad does all the laundry. To this day, my mom have never picked up a mop. So those things that I see my dad do. Around my house, no one else picks up a mop. Nobody else picks up a vacuum cleaner. That's me. So
that's the mom.
I just try to make things easier. And I agree also with what Alan was saying. I think we struggle, especially within our community, with teaching our boys how to grow up and be how to date women and how to be husbands. And this goes across the board with men in general, not just within our community, but it's always girls are playing with Barbies and tea sets and learning how to be wives and caretakers while we're just learning how to play video games. And we're doing that, 16, 17, 18 years old, and then we're putting these kids in a situation where they're going out dating and they've never ever really been taught or shown how to really date and how to go about appreciating one another. So I totally agree with it. I'm just going to piggyback. That's it.
So let me take this conversation then on top of what Dave is saying into that whole dating arena, because I was excited to do especially this segment because I think that we have all talked collectively about how frustrated we are when we start getting requests from our single friends. And those requests are things like, how come guys don't, find me attractive? How come guys don't approach me? What do you have to do to get a man to pay attention to you? Those kind of things. So I would really, really, really like for us to think long and hard about, if you have an opportunity, and guys, we have 3,000-4,000 people watch our show. If you have an opportunity to give some advice for young ladies on how to attract the man, if that's what they want, what they want is a relationship with a man, what kind of things are you attracted to? What kind of things should they do, and what kind of things should they not do? And I see Al with his hand up.
So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and it's not gonna be well liked, but it's gonna be the truth, and it's coming from my heart. The first thing you have to stop doing is listen to your single friends.
Stop listening to them single women. Listen to single women. That's
Stop
number
listening
one.
to your single friends.
I'm about to hit the heart button 100 times.
And two, stop listening to women that give married women that give single women advice.
Say it. Hey, put that on. Hey, Keith, type that. How you type that? Get the scroll. Get the scroll. Type that and get the scroll going here.
Stop listening to married women that give single women advice. And prime example, I want to give you a prime example is, and I know everybody, the beehive is going to jump down my back. I don't care.
So what?
Beyonce, for a decade, gave single women advice. But while she was giving single women advice, she was in the background in a relationship getting married.
Uh-oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Making plays.
Right. So I mean, and I know that a lot of single women and a lot of women are going to jump all over me for saying that, but that's what I see time and time again. I see women asking, what can I do to get a man? What can I do to the best thing you can do is be yourself. Be yourself and stop putting up barriers. I've said for 20 some odd years, stop putting up barriers and putting up these small limitations on what you want, you know, because you can grow inside a relationship. You know, the man who right now, you have to look past, maybe have to look past where he is right now and see his drive and see where he wants to go. He may not be there now, but his drive and determination is going to get him there. And the only reason that he's where he is right now is because he doesn't have a strong woman to support and continue to push him. Because that's what it really takes. A lot of men are sitting in bad situations. They have the drive, they have the desire to be better, but they need that mate, or that mate that complements them, that will catapult them into the vision that they see of themselves. Ooh. So while we're sitting around saying, oh, he ain't where he want to be, he doesn't do this, he's not doing this, well, he would do it, but his mind is so focused on something else that he can't display what you're looking for right now. So a lot of women, I feel that they pigeonhole themselves inside small categories, and they put up blinders and they put up these barriers that prevent them from receiving their blessing.
Here go the simple answer. Here go number. Yes. Hey, get ready to type this. Type here. You ready? Y'all ready?
You better say it.
Do what the next woman won't do.
Ooh. We ready.
Do what the next woman won't do.
You gotta explain that one, man.
You're not just talking about sexually.
No, we not.
You're not talking about sexually.
No, we not. Break it down. If you think that there's no competition out there, you are highly mistaken. If you're going to put up all these barriers and say everything that you're not going to do, there is another one who is willing to do everything that you're not going to do. And because there's so much social media traffic and people put out everything on social media, the playbook for the competition is right in their face. If you ain't going to make a play, guess what she going to do? She going to make a play.
Wow.
If you're not going to be approachable, guess what the next one is going to do? She's going to be approachable. We, at least as heterosexuals, I don't want to marry another man. I don't want to be in competition and combative with the woman that I walk in the door to see. I don't want to be yelling and screaming. I don't want her yelling and screaming at me. I don't want everything to be a freaking fight. I want to marry a person that I like coming home to. Do what the other person's not going to do. You have to be flexible. That goes for men. Be flexible. People who come on and they say, hey, I ain't going to do this, I ain't going to do that. Okay, wait till you get married and you about 10 years in. Wait till about 14, 15 years in. And let's see what you going to do. Everybody, you know what? Everybody is talking all that Will Jada stuff and they're like, oh, I can't be Will Smith. I can't be Will. I ain't going to let her be. All right. Well, you had the money they got tied up together, and you have 5, 6 kids, and you have all the business adventures they got together, and you love a person like you love a person. And then you talk about what you ain't gonna do. I guarantee that your feelings change. You got to be flexible, evolve, Alan. What you said, grow within the relationship. If you want a man, then you need to understand what men want instead of what you want. It just ain't about you in the relationship. You got to be able to give and take. You can't just keep pulling on that tug of war rope and think everything's about winning. It's not a competition. You don't get to win in a relationship. It's a team effort. If you ain't gonna block for me, nobody's gonna. If I don't block for you, nobody's gonna score. If we don't move this ball around the arc, if we don't move the ball, nobody's gonna score. If the defense ain't tight, somebody is going to penetrate the defense. Understand there is competition. That goes for us alike as married men. I'm aiming like this. Mark, feel me on this because me and Mark talk all the time. We do everything that we want to do for our wives domestically because we know somebody outside that door is going to try and get at our wife. And at no point in time, anybody try and get at my wife right now, they can try, but you can't do nothing for my wife that I already do. There is no holes in the defense. I make it that way. I build that tower up strong on purpose. So when that competition come knocking, ain't gonna get no letting in. I ain't even worried about it because I do everything already. It's
Wow.
already solidified. Done deal. And that's how you got to think. If everybody tried to be the best on both sides, if I know I can flex a little bit on here, I can evolve a little bit here, then we win. It ain't you versus me. It ain't a competition. We move together.
So
real quick. I'm gonna jump on them with them.
Go ahead, bro.
You said a lot, bro. You said a mouthful.
My bad, dog.
You said a mouthful.
My bad, dog. You gotta be snappy, dog.
No, that's what people need to hear. That's what people need to hear. But they also need to understand, because you said it's not a competition. You also have to realize that some of the things that people, and when you're single, when you say these are my no's, this is a no go for me. Sometimes in a relationship, you gotta let those things, you gotta let go of some of that stuff.
You gotta go.
Some of your strong, hard, like, I ain't gonna never do this, I ain't gonna never do that. When you get inside a relationship, some of the stuff that 10 years ago that I probably said I'd never do, I'm doing right now to this day. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So as men and women, you know, when you're sitting there and you're single and you're saying, man, I ain't gonna do this, and I want them to do this, do that. You're gonna have to let go of some of that stuff, because some of the things that you're looking for them to do, they may not do, but they will do other things. It's people always call it the 80-20 rule. You know, you can't focus on the 20% of the stuff that they're not doing that you want them to do, and focus on the 80% of the things that they are doing.
So you're right. PJ, I mean, you broke down a lot. Alan, you broke down a lot. I think we're on probably tip 4 or 5, whatever it is. But I just want to recap. What I'm hearing from you guys is there is absolutely competition out there. And you're both using a sports analogy, because in sports, especially in team sports, what you figure out is you're not always going to be the one scoring. You're not always going to be the one with the ball. Sometimes you're going to have to do your part in order for the team to win. And that means that, you're going to, you have to recognize that this is a game. I mean, this is the whole thing is a competition, because you're trying to win together. So, so the whole you need to be prepared to do what the next woman will do, because keep in mind, we're giving them advice. That means it goes both ways. We're willing to demonstrate that by putting in work. And if we're willing to put in work to do what the next guy will probably try to do, then you need to be approaching this relationship thing the same way. So anyway, see, I love this. Tip 4, do what the next one want to do. Tip 5, loosen your nose. You got to come off of some of these. Now, and I want to just interject this, and I'm going to be quiet until it's time for us to close. But a lot of what I'm hearing is how we socialize young girls, because how we socialize them is to believe in the white picket fence and the prince riding in on the horse, right, and making all of your dreams come true. And he looks a certain way, and he's a doctor, he's a whatever. And then in reality, you set your standards now so high that no guy is really going to ever meet those standards. And how much of that do we, kind of feed into? So I think I just wanted to kind of interject that. But Mark and Dave, let's get y'all in here, man. What's your advice for the single women?
So we talked about some do's, right? And off the back of what you said, here's a don't, right? So don't run down your list of all the things that the man has to have and has to bring and has to do and has to live and has to be, right? And
write it down, Keith. Run the ticker. OG Mark.
Right? Don't do that, right? Because often there is a narrative, and I'm just going to say it. There's a single women's narrative out there about all the things he got to have. This, he's got to do that. He's got to bring this. He's got to do that. Right? But I never hear, what are you bringing?
Oh,
be prepared to bring all the things that you expect to the table yourself.
I don't even want to talk no more. Done.
Right? Done. So that's it sounds rather blunt, but it's plain, right? Oh, just whatever you're expecting, make sure you bring it.
Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing why we call him OG.
OG. Whoa.
He gives us advice.
That's my role.
Triple OG.
I hope I got that comment right. So listen, I know we got more time, and I know we're gonna dig back into some of this stuff too. But Dave, we got to get you in here too, man. You've got you're a father of a daughter too, beautiful, talented daughter. You know the cats are gonna be coming if they're not already. They're gonna be coming, and you have an investment, right? Because we are expecting big things from her, right? And that's not to say we don't expect big things from all your kids, but we know that is an investment in our future that we all want to be able to look back on and say, man, I remember when she was like, knee high to nothing, and to see what she's been able to accomplish. So now, is your opportunity to kind of set the stage. What kind of things are you sharing with her?
Well, as far as when it comes to dating or I tell them for the most part, I say, be fun. People, like Preston said, you want to be around somebody that you are that is pleasant, that someone that you like. So have fun. Be someone that how do I want to say this? Be someone that you would want to be around. Be someone that you would want to pick up your phone and call, and when you're having a bad day, be that to on an everyday basis. So and to not have these lists. I preach that to her constantly. I tell her, listen, you can't have a list. When you get into dating, find you a guy. If he's gonna love you and he's a hustler and he's gonna go out there and make it happen, but for his family and protect his family, and he may be a janitor, but he's a hustling behind janitor, and you may have something that you could go in, and this is somebody that you can work with. So to not have these walls and these barriers up when it comes to certain type of guys that you're looking for. So those are the things that I mainly teach her as far as when it comes to dating. Like just don't put the blinders on. Don't be so just blind to someone just because of their status, their current status. Because you can have someone here that may not be as educated as the next person, but they're a hustler. They can go out there and get it, and that's what it's all about.
I tell you what I like about what you're saying is in this new economic reality that we live in, young ladies, if you're listening to this, please keep in mind that, what Dave is saying is that there's cats out there that's just trying to figure out, how to get their hustle on. And I would love for my daughters to, grow up and marry, rich doctors or whatever, but medical doctors or whatever. But the reality is you got some guys out there that are really, really good guys. And I think a lot of times our young ladies will see a guy hustling and automatically assume that she's going to take a back seat to his hustle. And that scares her off from him. So she doesn't want to get with him because she doesn't see where she's going to be kind of in the number one position because he's out there getting his grind on. But here's my advice coming from another OG. But here's my advice to you young ladies. If he's out there hustling and he sees that you are the kind of chick that's going to be down with him getting his hustle on, I guarantee you move from a way back in the line to the front of the line really, 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 really quick. Because most guys want somebody who's going to have their back, who's going to be encouraging them, who's going to be pushing them, who's going to be telling them, hey, I know you got this. I see it in you. If you're a janitor now, I can see you having your own cleaning business. And if you have your own cleaning business, if you need somebody to work in the office and make sure that we, watching the money for you, then I'm going to be that person for you. Ladies, y'all need to learn the language of getting with a cat that's going to know how to hustle. And absolutely match his hustle. So I love that, Dave. I do.
Don't be afraid. Together. Not just match it, hustle together.
Yeah.
It's that it goes back to that teamwork that Preston was talking about. If he's a janitor and he has vision of owning his own cleaning service, then guess what? You may have to at the start of that business, you may have to pick up.
Don't you go there.
Yeah, he
You
went
may
there.
have to pick up a mop.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, on some Saturdays. Only because that's his hustle. You know, that's his dream. That's his passion. He wants to do it. Now you'll eventually get out of that. But that's part of matching the hustle and hustling together. Is that sometimes you may have to pick up that mop, because if you're hustling, and that's your business. And you say, babe, I'm trying to make my own cleaning business. He'll like, well, shoot, I'll pick up a mop. I'll help you. You know, so you have to match. You have to hustle together. You know,
don't be afraid of what's behind door number one. And let me kind of toss it and kind of carve it up this way. I'm gonna try and be quick. I know we're back on time. But are you trying to attract a man that pleases you, or are you trying to attract a man that's going to impress somebody else? Meaning this. Do I want to marry a doctor or a lawyer because that's the social class I want to be able to project? I want to say, hey, I'm married to a doctor or a lawyer. Is that what I'm saying? That I want to project to everybody else, kind of like that engagement ring on the finger. Why do I need a big old 13-karat ring on my finger to tell everybody I'm getting married? Or a lawn man comes to holler at you, and you know what? I don't want to holler at him. He over there cutting grass. Why am I hollering at him? But what you may not know is that lawn man could own that company and own 3 other ones. Close the door on the lawn man, or because you close the door on the janitor that tried to holler at you, you done missed your blessing, because you think that you're in a class that you need to be marrying a lawyer or a doctor or somebody who rides a Maserati to show off to other people, instead of what could be blessing you behind door number one. You already cut stuff off. You done chopped it off because the man got on a janitor's outfit in his name, or he could have. You never know what kind of contract that man got. You don't know what business is that man on, what asset he got, but you don't cut him off already because of the outside presentation, because he cutting the grass or he mopping the floor. Don't cut it off just because he doesn't project what you thought you deserve on the outside.
I got to tell you, and that's an excellent point, PJ, because I'm a human resources professional by trade, and I've seen salaries. I know salaries backwards and forwards. Lawyers and doctors make actual salaries, actual money. And if I say somebody makes $150,000 or $200,000 or $250,000 in salary, you have doctors out there that are making $200,000 salaries, just paying most of that in malpractice insurance just to stay alive. And you have cats that's got cleaning services and got lawn businesses, landscape businesses, and those businesses are worth liquid, $500,000, $600,000. So numbers are relative. So if you're out there chasing status, you need to understand that salary is relative, numbers are relative, assets are relative, cash is relative. How liquid is someone? If he's a Class A electrician, certified in the state of Florida, I promise you, if he has his own electrical contracting business, I promise you that brother is very, very liquid. Very, very, very.
Hey, Harris, answer this question that came across. Alicia had a question. I don't think it was a question. She was being funny, made a lighthearted joke, but I think it was some serious behind it, along the lines of committing. There it goes. I just want a man who knows how to commit. Yeah. So do we have enough time to maybe address that? Because that's a big one.
Sure, absolutely. If we're going to let's give her advice on what to do if she wants to find a man who will commit to her. Then the answer is what? Because I have mine.
OG Mark, you want to hit it?
That one's a tough one, right? Because
that's a good one. It's a fair question.
It is a fair question, but you can't make adults do things that they do or don't, may or may not want to do. I think it's all in kind of how you present yourself, right? And so, people are naturally attracted to people. So it's how you present yourself. B, check the circles you travel in. Maybe you're not in the right circle of people that see what you bring to the table, right? Who you are, see you for your authentic self, appreciate the beauty of your mind as well as your looks, right? If you're not around a group or a social order of folks like that, change it, right? It's because it's not. I don't think it's. I won't say it's difficult, right? But with today's social media and all the technology you have, you can get to and be around whoever you want to. So it's really a matter, in my opinion, it's really a matter of how you present and who you're around presenting that to.
I'm gonna say this, that I really feel bad for this generation, because this generation has been taught not to commit to anything. So you look at, let's just take a look at high school football, high school sports, right? High school sports, when we were coming along, you went to a school, you played at that school. If you weren't a starter, then you said, I got to work harder to try to earn my starting spot, right? But you were committed to that school. You were committed to that program. Now, you go to a school, you don't start your first year, you go to another school. You go to that school, you don't start, or you don't get the ball, you don't get as much playing time as you think you deserve. You go to another school. So we've taught this generation, you don't have to commit. You can go for what's best for you at that time. You look at how a lot of people in this generation are changing jobs more frequently. They don't commit to the job. If the job gets difficult, or they don't like the way it's going, they go to a new one. So commitment is something that is learned. So if you're looking for a man that is having a problem committing, you look at what has he committed to in the past. Has he committed to his job? Has he committed to a school? Has he committed to a dog? Has he bought a dog and actually committed to, I'm going to have this dog and I'm going to actually raise, I'm going to keep this dog. And when a dog chews up my shoes, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to send it to the pound. Has he committed to things in the past? If he's committed to things in the past, then he has the ability to commit. But if he's never shown that he can commit to something and stick it out when times get rough, he won't commit to you either.
And why would I commit to you? Why would I commit to you? First of all, you don't make no plates. Why am I committing to you? Why am I committing to you? Somebody out there will make a plate. All right, but see, I ain't want to hear that. Hey, hold on. Y'all stop laughing. Hold on. But seriously,
hey, we done told you we gonna go off. We gonna turn off when you start going too wild.
I know.
This is supposed to be a peek behind the curtain, not a full.
Don't clip me out. Don't cut me out. Hey, but I think there is I think there's a gap in the time. Okay, seriousness. I think that where generalized statement where women want a commitment from a man is usually earlier than a man is willing to commit to a woman. Okay, so as you get to, and I know Alicia personally, she's on the younger side of 30. At that 30 age, a man is just starting to kind of figure things out. When you're 25-ish, you have nothing figured out. That's not necessarily what we're thinking about, is committing to just one person. When we're kind of moving and grooving and we're kind of doing our thing, it's kind of hard to commit when you're in hot demand also. When we're a commodity at 25, we got testosterone flowing, been in the weight room a little bit, and we got women coming from us left and right. It's hard to commit to one. So when we're about 30 plus, that may be the time where you can expect a man to possibly be saying, okay, I'm looking to kind of settle down and be with somebody. And at the same time, what are you giving off that would make him want to commit to you? It's not always about him. Look at yourself in the mirror. What am I providing that says, yeah, you know what? I would like to commit. I want to commit to this woman because she gives off this. But it all goes about the last 6 rules or suggestions that we put in here saying, okay, if you got a whole bunch of no's, I'm not willing to commit. You got a whole bunch of no's. You got a whole bunch of barriers. If you're not willing to be flexible and evolve, I don't know if I want to commit to that. If you're very hard strung, and I know that you're very hard strung, I don't want to commit to that. And lastly, women don't understand how much they put on social media gives us a very good look to where you are mentally. They put a lot of stuff on social media that goes out into the public, And if I'm kicking with you and I start looking at your social feed and I know you say this, that, and the other, that's a turnoff. You've already told me indirectly what you is and what you ain't gonna do. I'm not committing to that because of all those no's that we spoke on.
Let me do this. I'm gonna have to take us out, guys. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on. So I want to put a button on this. This has been outstanding conversation. I love the fact that we were able to end it giving tips and advice for young ladies out there who really do want to know, like, what can they do to attract a man. So I'm going to close out with two things real quick. With respect to this whole, how do you find somebody who's willing to commit? I've often given the story of how, there is a couple. I'm not even going to talk about who they are because I've told the story. I've told it many times. But when my friend met, his wife, she was very clear from the very beginning. She had the confidence in herself to say, I'm going to be this type of woman. And if I'm going to be this type of woman, then you have to be this type of man. She had that air of confidence about her, not 4, 5, 6, 8 years into the relationship, but on day one. She set that expectation day one. And when she set that expectation day one, I saw a change in him because he decided that that's who he wanted. And so if that's who he wants to be, if that's the woman that he wants, then he's going to have to be a certain type. So ladies, you got to make up in your own mind. If you're 20, 21 and you want a commitment, if you're 25, you want a commitment, you're 30 and want a commitment, you got to say it to yourself and to the public and tell a cat right off bat, what I'm looking for is a committed relationship, period. That's what I want. And I'm not going to negotiate and all of the little situationships and all the other stuff y'all got going on. I'm not going to have it. The final thing I'm going to say is this. Ladies, my biggest piece of advice to you as we close is if you want to know what men want and you know what is going to be attractive to a man, then my biggest, most important piece of advice to you is listen to what guys like us are telling you. We're not telling you based on something that we read in a book. We're telling you based on the fact that we've been in relationships for years, successful relationships where we found what we wanted, something attracted us, we were able to internalize that and spit it back to you. So please go back. It's only an hour. It's an hour and 5 minutes long. Go back and listen to this broadcast and listen to it over and over and over again. Listen to the guys who have already been where you want to be. Listen to what we tell you to do and stop taking advice from all these different, sources out there, social media, single friends, et cetera, et cetera. So listen, I just want to appreciate you, brothers, man, for taking time out of your Saturday afternoons, come spreading a little wisdom on our show. I know that this is going to be one of the shows that get thousands of views. And just as a reminder, next Saturday, tune into the Soul Purpose Show, 11 o'clock. The ladies will take over this space, and they're going to talk about what women want, and then we're going to all get back together at 12:30 on the Soul Purpose Lounge. So peace, stay safe, stay inside, and love y'all. We out.
Love y'all. Thank you.
Wherever we go, we about to bring on the positive vibe.